All right, so this is supposed to be a sliding barn door. Right now, it's just a really pretty door. I'll figure out how to make it slide. So watch this video to see how I actually just make it a door.
Start by ripping up some old Jim Beam rickhouse lumber. Now this is a large piece of veneered oak. I'm cutting it into 3-inch strips because it will serve as the pattern I'm putting on one side of the panel door. And it is going to be a, just wait, voila, a herringbone pattern. Beautiful, love it. Now, I am putting the edges of this as a lap joint on all 4 corners. So I do relief cuts to just kind of get the depth that I want, and then I knock them out here with the chisel. And then, you know, if you're not a glutton enough for punishment, I've done it a second time and just bust them out. But I'm only showing you these 2 because who wants to see 8? But then to clean them up, bring them over here to my Festool saw. I've got it set at a depth that's appropriate for how deep the lap is, and I just take it back and forth and clean it. It gets all the chips out, gets it good and smooth, and I flip it over to the other side and do the exact same thing. Again, this is just making sure I get it as clean as possible because a lot of those chips didn't break perfectly even. And even the relief cuts on the saw didn't do everything. I take it back over with my Rotex sander and it cleans it up real good. At this point, I've got a panel and I've got a frame, but I've got to get the panel in the frame. So how do I do that? Well, I come over here to my table saw, and right now I'm ripping a 3/4 inch dado groove. Now I'm going to do this on all 4 boards, both the rails and both the stiles, and I set it about a 1/2 inch depth so that that panel can sit down nicely inside that groove. And once it's all buckled together, there's room for that panel, that herringbone panel, to move, but it is not just completely encapsulated. Now I take this chisel because the dado, it does a great job, but it still left a little bit of a ridge, and this is just me cleaning it up, making sure that it's smooth, but also tight. Now this is how a lap joint goes together. Clack, clack, and it's just supported by glue at that point. This is going to be a door, so I'm coming in here with my drill and I'm drilling out holes that I will fill with some 3/8 inch thick dowel rods. Now the reason I'm drilling all these out mostly is to give me some extra structural support. So as I'm banging in these dowel rods, this will, if there's any kind of movement from side to side or any kind of twisting, which often happens on a door, this will support the structure and it not just being held together simply by glue. But then here comes my favorite part, the flush cut. You know, I made those specifically too long so that I could come back, flush cut them, and they'd be even with the surface of the rest of the wood. Now, checking to see how square it is. You'll never see this. Drop my square, boom, landed straight up and down. Now this is how they go all together. As you can see, the herringbone panel is already included. I didn't video that. My wife and I had to wedge that sucker in there, and I just didn't get to the camera fast enough to show you guys. Now, as I said, this is old Jim Beam rickhouse lumber, so it's old, like 100 years old. As in 100 years ago it was built. So it needed a little bit of TLC. I'm filling in, some of these are knot holes, some of these are cracks, some of these are just post beetles, but filling them in with epoxy before we get to the finished part. Now this is my favorite part. I'm finishing with a product called Rubio Monocoat, and you can actually get this stuff pre-stained, pre-colored I should say, and this color is a Rubio Monocoat's chocolate. And I think it just gives a good rich brown. It's close to a walnut finish, but as you wipe it clean, it still reveals really nicely the grain pattern that's attributed to oak, which often, you know, that's why oak is more desirable. And now I'm showing you the opposite side is a mirror. Sucker's finished, and guess what?
Okay. And I did figure out how to make it slide.